This is KnowMumbai. My name is Khushie, and you're watching Unfound, the vidcast. Today we have joining us a friend of mine who is also an English literature major, and she's an enthusiast of photography, art, music, and everything teenagers are. And welcome to KnowMumbai and to actually Unfound. And tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and what prompted you to take English literature as a major.
Okay. First of all, literature was not my first choice at all. I was aiming for medical, and then I somehow ended up here because I write, I read a lot, I travel a lot. So I'm an aspiring travel journalist, and I love watching movies and reading books and analyzing everything that's underneath it and what inspires the author to write and to make whatever art they create. That's why I'm a literature major now. Oh shit.
It's okay. Yeah,
It was very pretentious. It was very pretentious.
Okay. I'll cut it out. Don't worry. Continue.
Do you just want me to dive into the topic?
No, I told you to introduce yourself.
Okay. So, funny story. English literature was not my first choice at all. I was aiming to do medical when I back in 10th grade when I had high hopes from everything, and somehow I ended up here. And I guess it's because I used to read a lot as a kid. I still do, and I wrote. After school, when I started college, I started writing a lot. When I was, going out and exploring everything around me. It's a new world. I was not a kid anymore, and I was, going everywhere, going places, meeting people, and that somehow just gives me the inspiration to put everything down on a paper. And when you're a reader and then you're a writer, what better to do than English literature, right? So that's how I took English lit up, and I'm also an aspiring travel journalist. So yeah, it's a stepping stone to me becoming Ranveer Kapoor from YJSD. And yeah, so that's me. That's why I did English lit.
That is a very interesting.
Sorry, I mean, look at this. Look at this whole circle, and look at how you've come to from medical. I believe you also did commerce for a while, and then you come all the way to, you travel all this way and ultimately land at like a completely different, completely unrelated, this
We would have thought, like, okay, every other stream that I've ever taken completely unrelated to what I did previously. Life is unpredictable, spontaneous.
I feel like we sort of like a lot of us actually in college we're like this embodiment of like completely of doing things that are completely unpredictable, things that are not expected of us at all. So
I'm glad that we get to do this, that we can just like completely, flip from one thing to another. And that, I mean, of course, there must have been a lot of resistance, a lot of fighting on your end. But as there was on all of our ends, when we kind of come up with this idea of, hey, you know what, I'm going to take arts. And there is this, what?
You want to know? So, when I told my grandma that I'm going to drop commerce, I'm going to not do commerce and I'm going to do literature, I kid you not, the question she asked me was, did you fail and you're not telling me that you're going and doing art? And I was like, what the fuck? Okay then. That's how it is. I was like, no, Nani, I did not fail. I'm completely fine. I have a great grade. I just want to do literature.
Yeah, no, somehow it's not
choice, when it's since our topic today is a lot about art and music, and I remember this one particular post that I saw on Instagram that said, in times of uncertainty, you turn towards artists. And I kind of wanted to send that to every person that ever told me that, oh my God, you took arts.
There is no better time to talk about this than right now because you're in quarantine, right? And everything you're doing, whether it's painting, whether it's singing, whether it's listening, even listening to music, watching movies, these are all art. And this is not something it's not a new concept. Millions of us students, especially, have pointed this out that you have turned to art as a concept just because you don't have anything else to do and nothing else gives you the kind of happiness and the kind of motivation to think the way art does. You look at the painting and you can either be a pretentious like curator or whatever, like, oh, that brush stroke. But then you also tend to make fun of it, but then it still serves as a medium of thought for yourself, and that's what art is to people. And
You know, and
you
you know
stop
how these
undermining art.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how these there's so many people that have turned to art for therapy, and they come out and they say, oh, it's catharsis, and oh, it's this, and oh, it's that. And I was like, that's always, there is a kind of therapy that's called art therapy. There is art is helpful, music is helpful. It makes your whole brain work. My mom's been preaching that from the beginning. Bombay is sort of this it's this city that is crazy, sweaty, stinky at times, frustrating at times, and just everything negative for anybody who's not lived in Bombay. But for people who've lived in the city, it's this, I don't know, it's this romanticized, beautiful version of a city.
Yeah, so okay. So it actually operates both ways, actually. It's very interesting to see this because both the thought processes exist on both sides. Can I just say that? I mean, now maybe not so much. Maybe a lot of people who don't stay in Bombay come to Bombay and are like, oh my god, I hate Bombay. I want to go home. Everything is so much here, and I just need some distance. But in most of the movies that we see, most of the movies, most of the songs that we hear, are from the POV of someone, are from the point of view of someone who's either recently migrated or is like exploring themselves in the city. And they have such a push and pull relationship with the city. Anyone who stays here, okay, whether they've migrated from somewhere else or maybe they've been born and brought up here, it's not it's not the extreme end of a spectrum, right? It's not like a completely I love the city relationship or completely I hate the city relationship. It beautifully varies time to time in every single person. There are times when so if you I have a couple of cities. If you take songs for that instance, right? So you take Taxi Number Not Gera Ka Bombay Nagaria. Most of the lyrics, okay, especially the music, when someone's singing about Bombay, the melody, the tune of the song is so makes you feel so good about the city. Like oh my god. So this whole song, right? This one, yeah, Bombay Meri Jaan, all of these songs have such the bobs, they're bangers, they're like such upbeat tunes. When you listen, if you're just hearing the song, it's like wow, it's like a feel good song. It's so nice. But then when you listen to the lyrics, it's like they don't actually want to be in Bombay. do you know what I mean? So yeah, that lyric लाख लाख रोज आके बस जाते हैं इस शहर से आके फंस जाते हैं. And there's यहाँ time का मतलब पैसा. This is a huge thing in Bombay. Okay, everyone is constantly running. Okay, I live very close to the highway right now. Like you can see the highway from my window, and it's never empty. Never empty. It was empty for the first month when Corona was going on, and now it's just there's normal traffic here. Just a testament to how true it is that Bombay never sleeps. Bombay is nothing can stop Bombay from doing its thing. Eventually, people are going to come out. Time is money, and they're big on that. They would not lose their time. It's huge.
Bombay Nagaria is one of my ultimate favorite songs. There are times when you just miss Bombay. And another song that I have been listening to since before I came to Bombay was Ye Hai Mumbai Meri Jaan. So let's talk about Ye Hai Mumbai Meri Jaan, because that one song, that particular phrase is used so much. It's used in like dark movies which kind of depict the bomb blasts. It's used in, you know, positive songs where they're like, yeah, Mumbai meri jaan, you know, like it's, I love this city, you know. It's, so
Bombay classic. You think of Bombay and you relate it to the song. The moment anybody asks you about Bombay, they quote this song.
Absolutely.
It's a given. It's like a universal fact. The sky is blue, the sun is a star. Bombay, yeah, Bombay, that's a, that rhymes. Anyway, so yeah, Bombay classic, right?
Yeah.
And again, ongoing the ongoing theme of with a really adorable, upbeat, feel good melody. With the lyrics, just at some point he says that यहाँ मिलता है यहाँ सब कुछ पर मिलता नहीं दिल. And I don't know. I think a lot of people would disagree with the statement because I don't know, if you travel in a Mumbai local, you know there will be people who are always they just know that okay, this is your first time traveling or it's the first time you've come to this crowded station. You're like, "Pehli baar aayi hai." That sort of a thing. That happened the first time I traveled from Churchgate to Bombay because Harbour Line, at least the hours I traveled in were not that crowded. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. It was early morning and middle of the afternoon, so it's fine. But Western is just perpetually crowded. And they're very kind. They're like, yeah, okay, go, it's fine. Pehli baar hai. So nahi aata, nahi hai yahan pe. They let you go. So does the city not have a heart? Probably not. But also the city, the kind of people has the kind of competition it has. I mean, in comparison to the hopes people get when they come here, to when you compare that to what they get in return, probably it may serve to be a heartless city. And and this song particularly gives you two different points of view, where Rafi's this particular song gives you two different point of views, where Rafi's lyrics mostly are Bombay is painted to be all this nice developed city where everything is there, but a man can't find his personal livelihood. Like the road to essential survival is very tough. On the other hand, Geeta Dutt's lyrics, right? They're obviously very, very counter. What's the word?
Opposite. They're just the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. So Geeta Dutt's lyrics are completely opposite. Okay, she says that she has a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, she basically says that whenever whoever struggles, the city rewards it in return, and whoever is trying to get the job and they're actually very disciplined and they're putting their 100%, it has never happened in the city because it support them. So you see how there's two different narratives created by two different people, and the thing is, you will find everyone falling in either of the category. Everyone is either Bombay is crowded, Bombay is that. There's a lot of competition. You cannot survive there. You cannot survive there. You have to have so many. You have to have a lot of talent. You have to have the resources, everything to get to where you are. Then there are people who are like, no, I came to Bombay and Bombay changed my life. Opportunity, to chance. So that's one of the reasons that I think this song has been raised to become the Bombay classic song, to how Bombay is recognized through the song. And I think it's really wonderful. It's wonderful. There's two different sides to how people see the city. And yeah, what better could it be?
But even in this
part of the lyrics, I'll tell you what, it's this kahi building, kahi trame, kahi motor, kahi mill, this is such a beautiful reminiscent of what Bombay was at that time. Like, it was this hub of industrial revolution that was only restricted to Bombay and that didn't spread to the rest of India. It was like cotton mills in Bombay, and we're going to have an episode on the mills as well. Stay tuned. But it just, and we had the trams, and we had cars, and we had mills, and this city was like, it's always been 2 steps ahead, not two, I'd say 5 steps ahead of everybody, mentality wise, people wise, crowd wise, just even terrorist attacks wise. It's just always been ahead. Natural disasters wise, man. Someone said something really weirdly funny, insensitive the other day, that um मुंबई हर चीज में आगे रहा है, तो कोरोना में क्यों पीछे रह जाएगा? I didn't know whether to feel happy or sad or upset about that, but it weirdly made sense, that the city has always been like, hey, you know what, I'm the first to be good at Gothic architecture. I'm it's one of the few cities in India that has such brilliant Gothic architecture that has not been maintained well. You have been so since you've talked about like Mumbai Meri Jaan and Bombay Nagariya, one thing that I have seen in taxi number 911 is that they're trying to show you this class divide, which brings me to a movie made, they show you class divide but very loosely. And so one particular movie that comes to your mind again in recent times, that is sort of this embodiment of Mumbai, but the very people that make Mumbai, Gully Boy, that segment of Mumbai society that has never ever been portrayed, so especially this Mumbai rap, that's come up, and that we probably didn't even know existed. The slightly more not spoken about part of artistic expression, which is art in itself, where I'm talking about paintings and poetry, and just that part of art and that part of expressing oneself. So one thing that everybody in Mumbai knows about art is Kala Ghoda Art Festival. That has been one sort of like a benchmark for art, so if it's a foreigner, if it's a fancy, NRI, if it's the South Bombay crowd, it's the North South Bombay crowd, that's basically everybody else in Mumbai. Everyone flocks to Kala Ghoda to see Kala Ghoda. At that one point, everybody, including like, it kind of, for me, it's like an equal space, because everybody's on that street, everybody's clicking pictures, everybody's being equally stupid, in Kala Ghoda. Everybody's like selfie, photo, like, oh my god. But my point is that although it is this lovely expression of art, especially the kind of art and the pottery that is in the museum part of Kala Ghoda, that's in the little garden behind the Vastu Sangrahalaya, that art is not really understood by a lot of people that come there, including the South Bombay crowd. Sometimes they just go there because it's Kala Ghoda, and there's a lot of other people that just come to Kala Ghoda because in Bombay we have a new place to go to other than Marine Drive or the regular historic spots that are just,
in my opinion, is not something that you go to like if you go to a museum specifically, you will be like, okay, this art piece is good. I'm going to have an opinion about, like, an educated opinion about what is being shown here. I don't think Kala Ghoda in particular is I don't think it's something common people like you and me go to form an opinion about something. It's just an exhibition. It's like okay, there's a I don't know. I saw like a giant ass globe at some point in, I think, last year or last year. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's a globe. We're not qualified enough to say if it's good or not. That doesn't stop a lot of people to be like, no, I mean, a lot of people aren't like, okay, I'm not going to someone's artwork, so I'm not going to see it. A lot of people have opinions about it. Does not mean that they're valid opinions or they're things that need to be followed. And Kala Ghoda is really not a space for like the common public like you and me. I think it's for people who are more artistically inclined, whether it comes to paintings, graphics, or whatever. And a lot of Kala Ghoda also features a lot of self-made people who have created products, be it paintings, be it household things, jewelry, they've created it for themselves. And a major problem I think with people is that they often associate artistic capability with utility, which shouldn't be a thing, because like a earring or a set of crockery becomes a better piece of art than an art installation, because art installation is not, you know, it's not something you can use in day-to-day life. And I don't think that's how art works. Sometimes art is just meant to be there with your either visual pleasure or for it to serve as a medium through which you think about things. I think that's what art does. I don't know to what extent the Kala Ghoda Arts Festival particularly, fulfills that function of art. But yeah, I still don't think that most people go there for art criticism or appreciating it or whatever. I think it's more of a tourism thing than a art.
Yeah, but I feel like
Kala Ghoda has its like attempt. I mean, because it's an arts festival, it does attempt to make that. I mean, not even attempt. Actually, it makes that that effort of putting in the art. So you have Jangir Art Gallery where they have these fancy sightings and all of that. I've been 2 times, I think, but again, I'm not a very I don't understand it unless someone explains it to me very well. So there was just one time when someone explained a painting to me, and it was way deeper than it was not just a woman holding a pot. At that, it just looked like a woman holding a pot, and I was like, okay, it's a woman holding a pot. And it's a very nice painting. It's very well done with like everything. To say you don't, so that this guy walks up to me and he goes, that's not how you appreciate art. So I was like, okay, then what is it? Explain it to me. So he's like, okay, it's our fault that we didn't have, like, they generally have descriptions, explaining stuff, but this particular painting didn't have anything. So he explained it to me. He said, this is a woman holding a pot, but there is so much meaning to it, every curve, every angle, every this, every that. And I was like, okay, now I don't, 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, now this is not just a woman with a pot. So I'm not going to delve into what he explained, because I'm going to keep that to myself. But he kind of gave me like a long explanation, and I was like, I don't know what I would have, I don't think I would have taken this experience back with me. I wouldn't have taken it home with me if you didn't tell me this. So I don't even remember the other paintings over there. It's just that one woman with a pot, and that's it. I remember one woman. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what. So you need to be artistically qualified to know what you see, and I don't think the majority of the population that goes there is, and that is also perfectly fine, because I think at the end of the day, art is up to interpretation. How do you pronounce interpretation?
interpretation.
Interpretation. Yeah. So art is, there is always subjective judgment to what everyone is seeing, and you cannot stop that. You can only, judge how valid that is, because the kind of work that's put in to create the piece of art that you're seeing will obviously have way more artistic integrity, way more artistic knowledge than anyone else who's seeing it. That's why you have someone called art critic, which is I don't think is a great job, because who are you to criticize what this person did? Exactly. It means something to them, right? It does not need to mean the same thing to you. So yeah, and most people, they just go and they're like, yeah, okay, it's an installation. That's all it is. That's all it is to them, and that's also fine. It's how they see it. Fine, cool. Does that determine how good or bad it is? No, it does not. That's the point. That I think that's a major thing that needs to be known when it comes to art and how you form an opinion about it.
Very true. Very true. So, I'm pausing it.
All right, so with this, we have come to the end of our vidcast. Yay! Clap, clap, clap. I think we've had a very interesting conversation on art and music, and I mean, I never thought of our city in this way. Look at me getting squeaky and excited because tonight I'm just going to put on some music, Bombay music, and just like, drown in the fields and think about this conversation that we had. And I hope that everybody that watches this vidcast takes back a little piece of this with them and tries and understands art next time and doesn't just click selfies at Kala Ghoda.
And
I'm
support local artists. Follow Instagram pages. There are so many brilliant people out there putting out music, putting out literature, putting out art, like actual art, like drawing, painting, whatever, and graphics. Graphics. There's so many people are putting out so many beautiful graphics out there. Please discover them, follow them, talk to people, support them, give them the recognition they deserve. Because Bombay is a cultural hub, okay, and it has so many people who are doing this on a daily basis and they deserve this so much. Please support local artists.
Thank you so much for joining us, Shruti. This was such a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. If you liked this podcast, you should like, share, subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify, then please follow us. And if you like this and if you like KnowMumbai, please don't forget to share this with your friends. Follow us on Instagram. Shruti's handle is here somewhere, and my handle is here somewhere.
The track we've used is Alien Time Machine by the very talented dudes over at Candy Floss, streaming on all platforms.